Hey guys, Don Rice here, and this is episode 27 in the never-ending story about polishing canopies. So this is another spare canopy, and this has, I don't know if it's going to be possible to see them, but just has some, I call them little bumples, but it's not perfectly smooth. I think you can see that. And so this is spare canopy, certainly not flight hardware here. And so I'm going to try something. Richard Krapp over in Britain recommended another type of polishing system. This is it. This company makes a number of different systems. Most of what they do seems to be targeted towards the full-scale aircraft industry. This says lot 3114. I don't know if that is a lot number or if that was the part number I ordered. I don't remember. Anyway, so instructions. I'm reading through those right now, and what this comes with is what is actually a really nice. It's firm, but gives a very nice little foam block, and then there's these they call them micro mesh sheets, but they're abrasive sheets, and so this is a kit, and so this is 1500, 1800, 20, 2000, 2400, blah blah, 4000, all the way up to 6000, and so they say some nonsense in here about the abrasive crystals self-align because they're embedded in a soft give type silicone material, and they self-align, and all the scratches, the microfine scratches that they put into the plastic are all in the same direction. Blah, and it's a bit perfect, be beautiful. It's gonna be whatever. So I'm gonna give that a shot. So hang on. Okay, so it appears that they talk about, for heavy scratches, start with something like 400 wet or dry. And actually, for really heavy scratches, you could go as heavy as 120 grit. But they're talking about for airplane windows. And so you can go through regular sandpaper up to 400 grit. And once you get to 400 grit, you move to their microfine 1500. So I'm just going to start with 1500 since this is a test. And they also say, don't do this in a circular pattern. Only move in one direction with this particular grade until it appears that there is a uniform surface. Scratches, whatever, cloudiness, everything is uniform, moving in one direction. And then you go up a grade, so I'd go from 1500 to 1800, and then I would move in a 90-degree direction, and I would keep that up until all of the vertical scratches had been removed and been replaced by horizontal ones. And then I move up to the next grade, and I go back to 90 degrees, and so on. So here we go. Okay, so you can see, I have created a clouded section, which is still got a couple of minor imperfections, but most of the bumples have been removed, which is great. So next thing I'm going to do, move from 1500 to 1800. 1800, not Cuervo. Put that on like that. Instead of moving in this direction, I'm going to move in this direction. Okay. So now I've got all the scratches going in this direction. It feels really smooth too. Alright, so what's next? Next is, what is this? 2400. Alright. Big numbers. Because this is a compound curve, instead of going 90 and 180, 90 and 180, I'm going to go now on this pass. I'm going to do this diagonally, which will kind of go around the curve as I do this. And the idea being that, you know, I just keep this up until all of the scratches from the previous grit are no longer visible, and all I can see are the scratches from this grit going in this diagonal direction. Alright, that's 2400. This is, good grief, 3600. Okay, we are now into unknown territory for me. I've never used any sandpaper this fine before. And in this case, I'm going to go 90 degrees to that previous one, which is going to be the opposite diagonal. Which is actually an awkward direction for me. Interesting. We're starting to, you can still see fog, but you can see more of my hand at the moment. So we are, in fact, creating something like clarity. Actually, this grit has really done a lot to remove the cloudiness. There's quite a bit, I don't know what you can see, but you can see the cloudy area, but it is nowhere near as cloudy as it was. In all my previous efforts, I don't think I ever got anything quite that clear. Alright, so next up is 4000. Now in this case, I'm actually, because there's only one more grit after this one, I'm going to go this way, which is around horizontally the canopy, because I want my final grit to actually go this direction, which would be the direction of the wind airflow, because if there's any scratches in this thing, minor as they are, I want them to be in the direction of the airflow. So, alright, this is 4000. Alright. Yeah. That's coming along. Alright, so 4000, looking pretty clear. And now we'll move to 6,000, which, I don't know, to me sounds like, you know, Kleenex or something, but actually that's not true, because Kleenex is basically a wood product. And you do not ever want to clean your plastic canopy, or for that matter, you don't ever want to wipe down your airplane that's covered in monocoat. You don't want to wipe it down with Kleenexes or paper towels or anything either, because the wood fibers that are in paper products will actually scratch monocoat, and it'll scratch clear plastic canopies too. You shouldn't use anything other than a nice soft 100% cotton cloth or microfine mesh. I'm doing about, I don't know, roughly 2 minutes of scratching, of sanding each grit. And so that was it with the 4000. And you can see, so here's an unworked side of the canopy. And as I move it around, you can see there's a very light, kind of a film area there. Okay. So next up, Well, I'll bring you back in a minute. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do here is got a little water, and I'm just going to spray this down. This is a really nice microfine, all 100% cotton cloth, and I'm just going to wipe the area down, dry it, make sure it's nice and clean, free of any of the very, very small plastic particles from all the sanding. And I will turn that inside out like that. And instructions. I'm reading instructions. And this is microgloss liquid abrasive, same company, and so the intention here is put about, I don't know, just a couple of drops. They talk about a dime sized bit of it, and then again with the foam block, and then you do this, you rub it until there's no more evidence of that liquid, that polish. Okay, so having scrubbed this pretty good, I think my towel might have been a little too damp because it wouldn't ever actually look like it was going away. So there's a very light film of the stuff on here. I'll go out to the edge out here where I know the towel is dry, and I can put a final buff on here just by hand. Get rid of the last of that polishing compound. There we go, like that, and make sure, get rid of my fingerprints from the inside, and we can take a look at this thing. Alright, so there we go. That's not bad. There's a side that is not done. Coming around there, now we're starting to see the edges that I went ahead and left the edges unbuffed. They got hit with some of the microfine meshes and the very, very fine sandpaper type stuff, but I didn't buff out there with the polishing compound. And then we see this area here in the middle, which looks pretty good, actually. And on around the side, we can see a little bit of a mess here, where I didn't do the final buffing, and then the sides. So I'm actually going to call that successful. Thank you, Richard. I have to do the inside too, because those bumples, the bumples that appear on your canopies are usually there because of some kind of dust particles that got in during the vacuum forming, and which means that they're on the inside and they're on the outside. And so you got any polishing on the outside needs to be redone on the inside if you really want to get rid of everything. But this was a test before I try and do this on my actual flight hardware again, which, as we all know, I completely dicked up the last time, so I don't want to do that again. I'm going to call this a successful test. Yay! Later. Okay, so here's the final look at this thing. I know we thought it was final a minute ago, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to take one final stab at it with this stuff. And I just poured this onto the area that I had worked, which is, this area right here. And I'll tell you what, it's pretty doggone clear. if you see any imperfections, they are 90% on the inside of the plastic, which I did not prep. The outside, it looks really good, and actually it looks more than acceptable to me. And so I'm pretty happy with that. And I know that all I got to do is repeat that process now on the main canopy, which wish I could show you the imperfections, but you know, they're there and they bug me. But now I know that I have a reasonably easy polishing method, and I'm going to give it a shot. So I'll talk to you all later.